What is up, endurance boosted, stress resistant health aficionados? My name is Christian Bates, and this is Longevity Power, and this is Maca Bliss, our signature 10-to-1 dual extract powder of black maca. In a few moments, I'm going to tell you why, if you are already consuming maca, why your maca might be compromising your health. But first, let's talk about maca. Maca root is a top superfood famous in the world now. It is also considered an herb or even a tonic herb. And for hundreds, if not thousands of years, it has been consumed by the indigenous peoples of South America. It grows high in the Andes, mostly in Peru. It oxygenates the body. It helps your body cope with stress. It is a true adaptogen. It helps balance the endocrine system and hormones. It boosts cognitive function. It is a renowned sexual health boosting aphrodisiac with immediate and long-term cumulative effects. It helps boost sperm count and sperm mobility in males and boosts fertility in females. It is a beautifying herb. It is rich in amino acids, so a great complement to a protein or amino acid protocol. It is an ideal pre-workout tonic. It is great for endurance. It makes one want to work out harder and longer with less fatigue. It is really fun to take. It is not a Chinese herb, but if it was, the Chinese herbal tradition would call it a yang jing dominant herb. And the yang or yang is like bang. It's almost the opposite of yin. So if yin is in, yin is calming, deeply restoring. Yang is more of an explosive energy. So when you take maca, you really want to use that energy, whether it be right before a workout that you take it or right before a date night. And it's Jing dominant. Jing is your longevity, your long-term battery pack-like energy. Basically, it correlates to your adrenal and kidney health, according to Chinese medicine. So maca is all about restoring your health and promoting longevity on many fronts. However, it is considered a South American, sometimes even Amazonian herb, although it grows high in the Andes rather than deep in the jungles of the Amazon. And it was the second major superfood that I got into about 15 years ago. My first superfoods that I was into were the many different green powder superfood blends. And then I tried maca. Now, about half the time I ate maca, I would feel pretty good. I would feel a lot of those benefits. I would feel empowered. I would feel like I really wanted to take my energy and run with it. But half the time I felt weird from it. I felt fatiguey. I felt actually tired. And I had no idea why, but now I do. So before we go into that, I just want to tell you a little bit more about the different types of maca that there are. That naturally, there are three colors that grow together in the mountains of the Andes. There are red roots, yellow roots, black roots. Sometimes the red roots are called purple, but they're the same. And sometimes the yellow roots are called cream or white, but we'll call them yellow. The yellow roots are the most abundant, they're the biggest, they're the cheapest, and they're good, but they are significantly less potent than red and black roots. They are the most common, so usually if you buy a bag of raw maca, it's either going to be yellow maca or a blend of all three colors, whatever is the cheapest for the company. And I'll explain a little bit more about why raw maca is the most popular right now. But there's also red maca. Red maca is the best for male prostate health, but it is second place for all other benefits. And black maca is the best for everything, but second place for male prostate health, according to a few studies. So because black maca is the most potent, and it also happens to be the smallest and most rare, we decided to go with 100% black maca dual extract because we don't want no second-rate maca. Our dual extraction process is especially important. Now, before I go into that, let's talk about raw maca and gelatinized maca. In the early 2000s is when the raw food movement really took off. And because milled raw maca is the cheapest to produce and export, a lot of companies were saying, hey, our maca is raw, it's the best. But that would be the same as saying, hey, this grain flour is raw, therefore it's the best. Well, no, if you are going to eat grain, then you would probably want to cook it or process it in some way. Maca has hardly ever been consumed raw, mainly because as a raw whole root, once it's dried, it's very hard. And as a milled powder, it's very starchy and fibrous. About half the population just will not feel good digesting that much starch and fiber at once, especially in the dosages required for many of the clinical benefits of maca. For raw maca, a good actual dosage that can truly give you the advantages that maca is supposed to give you is about 3 tablespoons. Now, if you've tried to ever put that much maca in a single serving smoothie, you know that it will throw the flavor of your smoothie. And instead of having a little more of the delicate kind of caramel malty flavors that maca has in a small dosage, it will have a straight up bitter radish flavor. No fun, especially if you have any kind of sensitive stomach. That's going to be fart food, and it has enough sugar and starch in it to cause glycemic issues. If you're on a ketogenic diet or a low-carb diet or an anti-candida protocol, then raw maca is too high carb for your protocol, and you'll need something lower carb. Another step down from the carbohydrate content and going into more potency is gelatinized maca. Gelatinization of maca is basically a wet method where the maca is cooked down a little bit. It's almost made twice as potent, or about 1.5 times as potent, and a little bit less fibrous and starchy, so it's easier to digest. However, it is still starchy and sugary enough to be considered not suitable for any of the low-carb protocols that I mentioned, and although it is a better step. So if you have gelatinized maca, that is a little bit better. And also gelatinized maca tends to be not have an issue with microbial content. So when you take a raw plant and dry it and maybe powder it and ship it, it's staying in a raw state for so long that the chances that it can accumulate mold and mold toxins and other fungus and bacteria will only increase over time. I have personally tried moldy maca. I've also tried rancid raw maca. I have a friend who got mold poisoning from a chocolate bar that had raw moldy maca in it. And the mold doesn't have to be living. It could just have a brief chance of having mold grow on it, but then the mold toxins, which are estrogenic and super toxic in nature, especially if someone has ever had issues with fungus or mold exposure before, they will be extra sensitive to even any amount of mold in maca. So gelatinized maca is way better because you don't have the microbial issue, because it's cooked soon after it is dried and comes from the farm. But we can do even better. So looking at all the different ways that maca has been prepared, traditionally it has been cooked and roasted and boiled and fermented, and you name it. It has been you can create tinctures out of it. Looking at all these methods, what would be the most potent, most universally suitable and easy to digest and absorb? Well, we decided it is the dual extraction powder method. Dual extraction implies 2 extraction mediums. We have hot water mixed with alcohol. Our alcohol is a cane-derived alcohol, so it's non-GMO. We start with certified organic black maca roots and mix that up with pure water and alcohol and do a big, long, lab-sized decoction or dual extraction. And then we pull out, during the filtration process, most of the fiber and starches and sugars and concentrate the water and alcohol-soluble active constituents, which are mainly, that most human active are going to be the macamides and macanes. We standardize Maca Bliss to be 0.6% macamides and macanes, which is actually a lot. That's a lot more than in raw maca. And by standardizing this full spectrum extract, we know what's in it. We know that each dosage is going to be truly effective. And then we just dehydrate that extract And now we have something that is way more potent. It takes 10 pounds of dried black maca root to make 1 pound of dried black maca extract powder, or Maca Bliss. That means that 1 teaspoon is worth about 3 tablespoons or 10 teaspoons of raw black maca. So because we're using the black maca, which is the most potent, and making it a 10-to-1, and removing any chances of mold or any chances of sugar or starch or fiber issues, we have a maca that is just potent and it's just so lovely. And it also does not taste like radish at all. It has this wonderful smoky, tangy, malty flavor. It's like a little bit sweet, even though most of the sweetness, the glycemic impact, has been removed. So it goes in any elixir or smoothie, or you could even put it in a salad dressing, or a chocolate, or a homemade healthy ice cream, or gluten-free muffin recipe. Whatever you want to do, it lends its flavor so well, and it's actually quite heat resistant, so you can even cook with it, and it's perfectly fine. You don't have to eat it raw, but you don't need to cook it because it's already been heat processed to extract all the goodies out of it. We extract our maca at just below 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hot enough to help release the active compounds away from the fibers of the roots, but not hot enough to denature any of the active constituents. So looking back at how I was consuming raw maca and how I didn't feel good from it all the time, it was probably because of the starch content, possibly a mold content. And then once I tried different maca extracts and finally figured out that there's this one. There's basically me and one other company that's an international company that puts this stuff in capsules. But I keep this as a bulk herb, which is the most cost-effective and helps you have a more tangible experience where you're actually tasting the maca and feeling it. You're not just putting it in a capsule and then hopefully you feel better in 20 minutes. But you're having a direct experience with the herb. And that's what I really want for you, is to not only get all the benefits easily from herbs, but to familiarize yourself with the natural world so that you can constantly have more experiences to pull from in helping you better your health on your health adventure. So maca has made a big impact in my life. There was a time where I was using maca all the time before going to yoga or going to the gym. These days, I'll just put one thing, like the only thing I could possibly say that would make you consider not megadosing on Maca Bliss is that it is a warming herb. So if you run really warm, you're going to want to curb your intake of maca and or combine it with cooling herbs. The previous video I made was on our product Levity, which is red asparagus root extract. That is a cooling yin herb as opposed to this warming yang herb. So I might focus more on cooling herbs these days just because I tend to run warm. But if you run cool, you get cold easily, your extremities, your fingers, your toes get cool to the touch, then warming herbs like maca are going to be the most important thing for you. There are many naturopathic doctors who will use maca as the first thing they put a patient on when it comes to helping someone balance hormone issues. We have a huge issue these days called estrogen dominance. And that's where certain types of estrogens get out of control at high ratios in the body. And this has all kinds of immune system damaging effects. It makes it almost impossible to lose weight. It makes weight deposit in imbalanced ways in the body and tends to just by its very nature increase estrogen but lower testosterone and progesterone and other types of estrogens that are actually healthier to have more of. And so maca, because it does not contain hormones, it is a true adaptogen that still helps one balance the hormones. It is very safe to take for helping someone balance their endocrine system overall. So I hope that maca truly can make a huge difference in your health and help you familiarize yourself with your own body and have more fun with your life. I hope that it excites you, whether it's date night or track meet time or just helping you get through your day so you can perform better and live passionately. My name's Christian Bates, and I will see you very soon.